Hey guys, so this is going to be a really informal one, not scripting. We'll probably do very minimal editing, but I ended up playing the Monster Hunter Wilds beta test this past weekend. Wasn't planning on doing it initially, but I gave into temptation. And going into this, I was essentially completely blind. I hadn't seen much video footage for it. I had heard bits and pieces of information, but not much extensive. Pretty much I knew it was going to be sort of open world in a way, and I knew that there was going to be some removal of things that I personally liked, like launching people with weapons, and I think they were cutting down on the emphasis of sharpening, which I did notice in the beta test. Anyways, did not know what I was getting into when I walked in. I was pretty happy I was able to skip cutscenes, so I was able to kind of avoid any story moments. I did not challenge the flagship monster. I only did Chatgpt, the big furry motherfucker that was running around with his little pack, his little gang, and Raidao. Those were the three monsters I killed. Aside from that, I primarily just dicked around in the training area to check out the weapons, see what the changes were like, and ran around the world kind of just looking at things. And I have some impressions. It's kind of a mixed bag, to be honest. I initially didn't really know what to expect, and I had a lot of excitement for Wilds, and now I'm still excited, but I'm also kind of a bit stressed out and have way more questions than I did before. So, do I want to start out with the pros or the cons? Let's start out with the pros, with the good impressions. So, I made the earlier videos talking about this aspect of Monster Hunter, and it's one of my big important ones. So naturally, I'm pretty thrilled to see the emphasis on the natural world and how it interacts with the monsters and you, the hunter, has only increased. That has become a huge component of the gameplay in Monster Hunter Wilds, and I would say it's evolved to its natural evolution, but I did not foresee how extensive they were going to get with this. I was hunting the big furry guy, the pack boy, and I had wounds all over the place, and all of a sudden he's getting swarmed by a bunch of these little raptors, and they're digging into his wounds and ripping him apart because they can tell that he's weak and he's near death. When I saw that, I lost my damn shit. That was crazy. I was running around trying to kill Chatgpt when all of a sudden the dust storm flew in and lightning started zapping everywhere, and they're like, you're kind of running around, you see the guys with the spikes sticking out of their backs, and the lightning is kind of grounding itself to them, and then that's when Raidao shows out. Really hoping that in other areas and with other monsters they kind of have implementation of environmental effects, and that mechanic signals the arrival of a monster or some sort of event in the area, and just the world felt more alive than it's ever felt in any of the other Monster Hunter games, even World, which is, in my opinion, a tall order and a very high praise coming from me. So that blew my mind. That was amazing. I was not able to kind of, I don't know, walk from the Windward Plains to another area, but I could kind of see where we were supposed to segue into the jungle region, the forest region. I'm assuming there's going to be one of those because it looked like that on the map at least, but I was semi-worried that it was going to feel like the Guiding Lands and a little bit cramped and just not good. I personally didn't like how the Guiding Lands felt, and it didn't feel that way to me. It felt like the Windward Plains was a really thorough, fleshed out area in and of itself, and like a lot of attention to detail. And it felt like there was a natural progression and segue leading up to the area that seemingly was where you would kind of transfer over to the wooded zone, the forest zone. I kind of felt that was an issue with the Guiding Lands, is they seemed, or it didn't really feel like it was as thorough and intentional as the other areas in the game. And I personally really love how thoughtfully crafted all of the regions in World were, and I didn't want there to be a reduction in that with the introduction of an open world format. I didn't want there to just be like big open world spaces for the sake of having big open world spaces, but it's packed with nothing, basically, is what I'm trying to get at. So my kind of concern around that was immediately it fucked off. Fucked right off. If I was actually editing this, I would have thought of the correct word for that, but I can't, so I'm saying fucked. Yeah, and I would just say the vibe. So this one's two-sided. I'm going to segue into cons now. So on one hand, I was really getting the we're on a frontier vibe with the set up shop wherever camps and the base camp feeling like a base of operations in a foreign land. I was definitely getting that feeling of, okay, like we are voyagers on a frontier. I sort of saw the beginning of the cutscene with the ship, but I immediately skipped out of it. But I know that's how we arrived, and like seems like it might be damaged or something, and it's docked up at the base, and we're kind of trying to figure out where to go from here. So I'm definitely picking up and really feeling that frontier vibe, and I like it. However, this kind of segues into something that I don't want to say it's an outright con, but I'm unsure as to how I feel about it, and it might just be because of change. So let me preface this entire con section by saying I tend to be kind of a change adverse person. I know that about myself. Also, first Monster Hunter game was Monster Hunter World. The second one was Rise. So when I'm referencing Monster Hunter and the way things have been, I'm only referencing those two games. I'm sure that there's many things in those two games that veteran hunters from the good old days probably disliked and felt similar emotions to what I'm currently feeling. Anyways, so my Monster Hunter experience, there's always been a very entrenched, fleshed out hub, like a village, and it feels like a cozy base of operations that's kind of very, I don't know, it's just fleshed out, you know what I'm saying? Like it feels very entrenched in the architecture, and I'm just going to repeat myself over and over again. Anyways, I am not sure how I feel about, and I know there's no official announcement, so maybe later on there is more of an actual village. But when I'm comparing the base camp to Astera or Celiana or Chimera Village or even the Master Rank Hub in Sunbreak, that was not quite as big and grandiose as the other ones. There wasn't really as much spectacle, but god damn, it felt cozy and it felt like a real outpost. And I get that, again, the thematic choice here is to make it feel like a base camp. I see the vision, I get the vision, and I like felt the vibes of this is a frontier. I just can't really help but miss having more of an established thing to come back to. Also, I don't know if there's going to be a gathering hub now or not, but I know there's not really a functional use for it at this point because we can see everyone. Like, I think there's like 16 people can be running around your instance at the same time. I always like the gathering hubs, all freaking 3 of them that I've seen, or however many there's been. I don't think there was one in the Master Rank for Sunbreak. But, I mean, I liked Astera's, I loved Celiana's, and I very much loved Chimera Village's gathering hub. Chimera Village's gathering hub is all-time peak video game just spot. Like, that was the spot, dude. It was tight. And it really felt like a place to gather. So if those elements are kind of going away in favor of we're setting up base camps in each zone, I'm sure that I'll learn to like it. But I don't think I'll ever love it the way that I loved the villages in the other games that I played. And then the other thing that I am fairly certain is going to continue to be an outright negative, and I was very upset about. I had a different video planned, and I've been dragging my feet on getting it out because I've just been royally pissed about this. Is Greatsword in Wilds. Specifically, True Charge Slash. I'm just going to say TCS because I stumble over my words when I say True Charge Slash over and over and over again. It's a damn tongue twister for me. But I got on. That's my main weapon, by the way. I played that. I played all the way through. That was what I got my Fatalis kill on. That's what I got my Primordial Malzeno kill on. That is my baby. And then runner up normally is Charge Blade, but I never have really gotten good at Charge Blade. But I grabbed the Greatsword, obviously, immediately after I was given the option to get a weapon, and I did a couple hunts. And I was playing with the focus mode, and initially I didn't really think anything of it, but after a couple hunts, I realized that the Greatsword just kind of felt like a wet noodle. And I was kind of confused by that. Um, so I did more hunts on it. I was just like, I don't know, maybe it's the lack of the hit stop or something. But like nothing feels impactful anymore. Like I'm not getting a dopamine hit when I'm landing the TCS. And then it kind of clicked with me. Um, the fact that you can 180 redirect the TCS, in my opinion, ruins the weapon. I think it defeats the entire purpose of the Greatsword, at least for me, and maybe other people feel differently. But in my mind, the entire reward structure around Greatsword, it's like it's a very simple weapon. It's not hard to figure out the button combinations. If like, okay, this is how it's supposed to go. You're supposed to fucking get the big boom on the monster's dome piece. Doesn't like it doesn't take a PhD, but the skill and the reward and satisfaction of the weapon comes from learning the fight, learning your distance, your spacing, your timing with the weapon, and landing this really slow animation, big damage move that you've worked up towards, and you've like all the stars have aligned. Like you worked up, you got to the point where you're able to throw that out, and you're positioned properly, and you actually connect and predict where the monster is going to be, and you land it. But now it doesn't matter, because not only can you, while charging it up, 180 redirect, which honestly I think I would be okay with that one, but you can let the fucking triangle button or whatever button you press on Xbox controllers, you can release that button, be mid animation, and be like, oh, hold up, wait a minute, I'm a U-turn and hit this motherfucker because he just ran behind me. So now it's like, okay, you can just like, you don't have to think. And that's why I realized like, okay, that's why I'm not finding this satisfying at all. Cause like subconsciously I picked up on that. And once I picked up on that, I was like, oh, fuck it. I'm just gonna like rush through my combination and just throw true charge over and over and over and over again. And if it starts moving while I'm doing it, I don't fucking care. I can track it while I'm in the animation. I'm gonna hit what I want to hit no matter what. And that kind of just took all the wind out of my sails. I lost the drive to play the weapon. It was not fun for me at all anymore. Like genuinely just kind of took all the fun out. I think my one potential saving grace might be the whatever that offset attack is called, the upswing where you charge up the upswing, and if you time it right, that might be, I guess, the new finesse thing and timing thing with Greatsword that you get. And if you land that, maybe that'll give you the dopamine. I didn't mess with it. I was too busy being emo as fuck over the loss of my TCS, and I put the weapon in the box and tried every other weapon in the damn box because I was in the moment just like, I can't play this. Like I was extremely upset. I definitely overreacted in the moment. Sorry, Okabe, if you watch this. He was in Discord and I was having a like full on emo boy meltdown about it and just went full doomer for a little bit. Silver lining, I am extremely happy with the changes made to Chargeblade, the other weapon that I like. And in my frenzied attempt to find substitutes for Greatsword, I found that I really like Hammer. I don't really know what it was like in other games, but it was a lot of fun when I was messing with it in Wilds. Also, that spinning animation thing when he's doing the slow walk up is the funniest fucking shit I've ever seen in my life. And then Switch Axe, dude. It's like really up in the air, a coin toss for me as to whether I want to go Switch Axe or do I want to go Chargeblade. I don't know. Never touched Switch Axe in my life, never really watched anything about it. I've only seen people in World hopping on the monster's face and unleashing their whatever their version of the SAED is into the monster's face. But Dude, that weapon, I know they didn't have that forward mobility that they had in this one, and like the amount of style and movability that they gave that weapon, and it feels great. And now you get this cool follow-up swing when you do the big kaboom. It is a blast. So I don't know, I feel like I had to trade. Basically, I exchanged my true love, unfortunately, for like 4 other side pieces. It's kind of a crude analogy, but you kind of get the gist. I don't know. Maybe it'll feel better when they add hit stop back, but for the time being, I don't know if I'm going to play it. Maybe I'll come around to it and find joy in it from some other aspect, but right now, in my eyes, Greatsword, as I know and loved it, is dead. RIP, my boy. It was real. We had thousands of hours of a good time together, but I'm going to have to move on to bigger and hopefully better things. Well, there's really nothing bigger than the Greatsword, but whatever. Anyways, guys, kind of up in the air of if I want to go back into my cave of ignorance leading up to the game, or if I want to start rapidly consuming every bit and piece of information that comes out to help assuage my somewhat anxiety now after playing the beta. I don't mean to be overly negative. Again, I do love Monster Hunter. It is my favorite. Ever since World, it has been my favorite. And I loved Rise, not as much as World, but I loved it in a different way. I think the Greatsword really bummed me out, and there's a bit of trepidation on my end with the changes to the village system. But the world's beautiful. The immersion that you get when you're out there, beautiful. I just remembered something else that I'm not sure I love, and that's Alma following you around everywhere. It's not a huge deal, but it is kind of annoying. I wish she would maybe keep her distance more, or like go guard the camp that you set up. I don't fucking know. Anyways, y'all, I will probably be moving forward with my intended video, so keep an eye out for that, and I will see you guys when Wilds launches. Peace.